Welcome everyone to today's Love Transformation class, and I'm joined by the beautiful Amrita today, a love coach also based in Bali like myself, and I'm super excited about the conversation that we're going to have today because we're all in this unique position where we're wondering what's going to happen to our love lives, our relationships, and I know many of us are probably actually sitting at home perhaps by ourselves and really reevaluating all the things that are important. And excited to talk a little bit about why this is such a special time. Welcome, Amrita.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you today, Peta.
It's great to have you. Now, what is it? Let's talk about what's been happening and what you've been noticing with your clients and yourself in relation to this current situation and our love life or absence of it.
Right. Yeah. What I'm noticing a lot within my clients, particularly my single clients, is that there's like this kind of like anxiety about, oh my God, I didn't meet somebody before quarantine. How on earth am I going to do this now? And like, is it all sort of over for me? And what I've really been helping my clients with is recognizing that love comes on the outside when it's happening on the inside. So this is the most perfect moment to kind of go inward, work on embodying that love and radiating that love out and removing all the barriers that we have to love with unworthiness, insecurity, so that you can use this time as like nourishing, going inward, and then after this time is over, you get to kind of come out and blossom like a beautiful flower and have that love start to be reflected to you from the outside as well.
Beautiful. The title of our training today is Love is Not Cancelled, which I absolutely love. Let's talk a little bit about what you also see going on, because we're not the only people that are at home by ourselves. We're talking about all the men that we might be potentially dating. What do you see happening right now with everyone in regards to their views about their love life?
I think that this is a time where we get to really like assess what's important. So it's kind of like there's everything, the playing field's been leveled out, and it's like, what do you actually want? What has been working for you? What has not been working for you? And what do you want to do now? And also the thing is that sort of the internet, dating apps, social media, we already are connecting through these ways. So it's not like you can't actually meet someone, like I've been saying to people as well. Like, you can have a Zoom date. You know, you don't have to not date at this time. But before you rush around doing that, let's go inward and let's see like where you want to grow and what you want to build up and what you want to nourish within yourself, so that you're in a more sort of abundant space with it.
Now, you work probably predominantly with women and couples like myself. Right. What's your feeling about what men are actually feeling about this whole situation as well?
Yeah, I think men are in the same boat. I think that single men are also looking for connection right now and looking for love right now. I feel like it can actually be more difficult this time for men, because women, we have our sisters, we have our friends. We're used to kind of chatting and communicating more about what we're feeling, whereas men can find this a very isolating time. And I think that that it's really important for men right now to really focus on communicating where they're at and really like understanding what they're feeling.
One of the things I noticed, and I'm super proud of all of my clients as well, that seem to be handling this situation really well, and a couple of them have asked me why that is. And I do believe it is because they've been doing this inner work, sitting with themselves, really evaluating their feelings, learning how to self-soothe themselves and their emotions, really activating their self-love. Is that what you've noticed with your clients as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that there is like, when you do understand how to do that, when you can self-source, you're not looking for something or someone on the outside of you to make you feel okay. And so you're in a stronger position, a more empowered position. And that is something also that I feel like if there's someone out there who's not feeling in that place right now, it's to really understand that it's not something that's unattainable. It's not something that, oh, some people have it, some people don't, some people are confident, some people aren't. It's like it takes work to get there, and at any stage is the best time to start that work. So if you haven't done any of that work yet, like today is the perfect day to begin.
Yeah. Do you see, I just get this feeling, this sort of sense, this claircognizance, if you call it, that after we've sort of transitioned out of this phase and we've had a chance to reflect on what's important, that there's going to be a shift in the way that people date and the importance they put on actually making commitments and building solid relationships based on emotional and mental connections. What's your feeling about that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think that this is like a great slowing down, because if you're in quarantine and the person that you're also interested in quarantine, it's kind of like you have to go back to the old school way where you have to call each other and have conversations and connect in ways other than just the physical. And so you can really take this opportunity to get to know someone, get to know them emotionally, get to know them mentally, like what they think, what they feel, and to show yourself also. And I feel that this time is going to help us, everyone really anchor in strong communication skills, which is the basis of any great relationship.
Matthew Hussey, an international dating coach who I'm sure that most of you may have heard of, he's quite big on YouTube. I saw one of his clips recently. He talked about the previous state of dating where it almost seemed like men were trying to watch 5 different movies at once and had like 5 different television screens in front and would play 10 minutes of this one and then pause and then play 10 minutes of this one and not let any of those individual stories run out and develop. Mm-hmm. So that was sort of his explanation perhaps for why so many people had criticisms about the dating scene and what it was like to be single and using apps and online dating. And I feel like we have a really captive audience with men at the moment.
Yeah. And I think that men are recognizing now how important connection is. And I think a lot of times women who are single think, oh, like the guys, they don't care about connection. It's just like, you're just a number, they're ticking you off a list. And it's really not true. Like, I think that at the end of the day, yes, there are differences between men and women, but we're all human at the end of the day. We all have a common desire to love and be loved. And that's what this time is showing us, is where we're not being loving to ourselves, where we're not like truly like giving that love out to others, and where we can do more to create that good balance of giving and receiving of love, attention, understanding, compassion, empathy, all these things.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think most of us have a sense that we really want to invest in a gorgeous, conscious partnership that's not just a coexistence type thing, and really create that depth on all of those levels: spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. Mm. But a lot of us haven't actually had that, or even have models of relationships like that. What sort of advice, or how do you guide your single clients in order to give them the confidence of what's possible in terms of that deep connection?
Oh, I love this question so much because it's true. I think a lot of people don't have those role models anywhere in their life. And so they're like, is this even possible? So what I do with my clients, and I totally get it, because I was in exactly that same spot at one point in my life where I was like, I've never had a great relationship. How do I even know that it exists? So what I do with my clients is I take them through a step-by-step process of getting clear on what they actually want in a relationship, first of all, how they want to feel, what they want, you know, how they want to interact with their partner. Then I take them through a process where they start to connect energetically, which is a little spiritual, but I think that everyone here will be able to go there with me. So we connect energetically with their partner who's out there somewhere in the world, and they start to feel that man's energy, get to understand who he is, and gradually through a step-by-step process get to the point where energetically they're having conversations with this person. So this is, and so it might sound a little crazy, but I did this exact same thing to meet my fiance, and this is what I take through with all my clients who then meet their partners. Is it's important to connect energetically first, and it's important to connect, you know, emotionally, spiritually, mentally first with this person, so that when they actually come into your life in the physical, there's like this feeling of ease, and it's like, oh, I know you, and they feel like they know you as well. So there's like a knowing and an ease, and you're already in that process of being able to communicate who you are, what you want, what you feel, and the difficult things, so that it's much more easeful. So I don't know if that's a little too out there.
Not at all. That's beautiful, because I think there's a big difference between meeting someone and feeling really comfortable and really easeful, where most of us, when we first connect with someone on a first date or something, we're so worried and so nervous about, do I look right? Am I wearing the right thing? Is it sexy enough, but not too sexy, and make sure I come across as being articulate and, and friendly and kind. And we've sort of got all of this stuff going on in our mind that sometimes that's on a very superficial and not so much on a level that really allows us to just be our true self and connect emotionally. Do you have any advice now that we're going to be doing connecting a lot more virtually and over video? What advice would you have for people to really maximize the opportunity to connect at a deeper level with someone?
Yeah, so what I would advise is to really, I think what stops people a lot from communicating who they truly are is they worry so much about how the other person is perceiving them, or what they think the other person wants to hear from them. So if you're having like a Zoom date or something, or you're texting, before you think about how that person's going to perceive you, think about what you actually want to know and what you actually want the other person to know about you, and just take out that bit of it about worrying about what they think about you, because then it becomes much more simple. It's like, oh, I want you to know that I am a very high energy person, and like I enjoy doing a lot of activities, right? Like things like that, instead of thinking about, oh, should I be softer? Should I be more demure? All this kind of stuff. So take out the mental gymnastics of what you think the other person wants to know about you, and focus on what you really want to share from your heart. And that is a practice, and it's not something I think that we should just expect that, oh, it's going to be easy the first time you do it. So you can take like little steps, like let's slow it down. You know what I mean? Like start by sharing things that feel a little bit edgy to share, but you don't have to air all your skeletons straight off the bat, and take it step by step, and, build on it with each kind of Zoom date. So yeah. Does that answer the question? Do you feel like
beautifully. I think sometimes we can beat ourselves up when we don't nail things. It's like in our mind, we know I should be like this, but then when it comes to the behavior, we don't always get it. Yeah, we don't always nail it first time. Right. I wanted to introduce something that I've been thinking about as well. You're probably familiar with the Love is Blind reality dating series that's been on Netflix recently. And for a while, I believe it was actually the number one series on Netflix. So as you can imagine, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around the world have seen that. And although not all of the relationships worked out, I think it did bring more to the forefront of our mind that how important it is to create that emotional connection, and that it's not necessarily all just visual. And I'm wondering if that's not, that's sort of now part of our new awareness about relationships. I feel like anyone who's watched that is going to be more mindful of how important that is, rather than just that going off that initial attraction. What were your thoughts after you watched it?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that now it's like exactly what everyone needs to do. It's like so prophetic. And I totally agree with you. And I think that anyone who's watched that series can see like some of the relationships that didn't work out were the ones where people held back information about themselves and waited until after they'd kind of like fallen in love and the other person had fallen in love to reveal that stuff. And then there was like that feeling of betrayal, like, oh, you didn't tell me everything about you beforehand. So I think that if anything, that show really brings it home, like how important it is for us to be our true selves, all of us, you know what I mean? You can never really hide anything forever, and there's really no need to, because I think that also like what we can take from that is like nobody's perfect. Everyone has their stuff going on. We all have our little, vulnerabilities. And if you go into it with an idea of this person is perfect and that you therefore need to be perfect, that you're setting yourself up for failure. Instead, if you're like, okay, let me approach this as I'm getting to know you, you're getting to know me, and we're kind of being our real selves, they're the relationships that really seem to thrive through that process. Where people were just being they're being honest with who they are.
That's such a good point. And I feel like everyone who's listening, who's been putting like love on the back burner because they feel like, I just need to do a little bit more in a work, or I just need to do a little bit more, I just need to do it. You know who you are. I know there's plenty of you who are listening. So how do we balance that? Because we opened up this session talking about how this is a great time to kind of excavate any of the inner stuff that we need that's holding us in resistance to love, to embodying love, but then not taking it too far to the point where because we're always going to have work to do, right?
Exactly. Oh my God, I'm so happy that you brought up that point. I feel like I see this a lot where people are like, oh, I need to be perfect, and then I'll meet my perfect partner with absolutely no issues, and we've done all the work and everything's amazing, and we skip into the sunset and it's all beautiful. And the thing is that like it's great to do inner work, but also relationships are your training ground. That's where you grow. That's where you learn. Like you meet with someone who is they're not exactly like you. You challenge each other and you can trigger each other and we can do that in a non-traumatic way. We can do it by just being different and having that bit of tension that triggers us to grow. And so we can see relationships, if we view it like that, then we see relationships as like, okay, this is helping me grow. This is helping me become more of myself, not change who I am to fit somebody else, but so we can both grow together and become more of ourselves. And, I mean, I've certainly done this, and I've seen this with clients of mine as well, where it's like you get to a point where you're single and you're like, oh, figured it out, got it all down, everything's great, I'm in such a good space. And then you meet someone and then you start to see, a little jealousy comes up or a little insecurity on these things. And when that happens, it's not to be like, oh my God, I didn't do enough work, I messed up. It's like, oh, okay, this is good. Now I see where I'm truly at and what work I still have to do. And I can do that within this supportive container. So I think it's great to come into relationships. Relationships really work when both people have that growth mindset of like, we are in this together as a team. We're facing the challenges together as a team, and we're growing together. We're not expecting perfection on either side.
Beautiful. You mentioned communication early on. For something that we may be able to do a little bit of work on in this time when we're preparing for calling in our soulmate, are there any specifics about communication, or can you talk to that a little bit more?
Sure. So communication starts with first communicating with yourself, understanding what you're feeling. So a lot of times we have in life, it's not been okay for us to fully feel things. So we can kind of numb stuff down. And then we tend to be able to identify anger, and we can identify some fear and maybe some happiness. And there isn't much else in between that. So it's to really start to check in with yourself, like, how am I feeling right now? If you feel angry, okay, what's underneath that? If you're feeling sadness, okay, what's underneath that? If you're feeling happy, what's underneath that? And so that's where we start, is communicating with ourselves. Then you can also start to communicate with your friends and your family. Like, I feel like that's always the best place to start, with people where you already have an established connection. You know that they're your friends, your family, they're there for you. And just to start to share a bit more about what you're feeling. So if someone asks you how you are, maybe don't just answer with, I'm good, or I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like, actually tell them what you're really feeling, and then ask them how they're really feeling as well. And practice having those deeper conversations with the people that you already have in your life, because we don't just want to save that kind of practice for when you're in a relationship. That's a lot of pressure to put on the relationship if you haven't done any of that work previously with someone else in your life.
Yeah, so talking specifically to, if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs, the T, thinker ladies, the F, the feeler ladies, this probably comes a little bit more natural to them, right? But if you're used to and rely on your cognitive functions and your thinking mind to communicate with, usually, then it's just so important. We often criticize our partners because they're not intuitively understanding how we're feeling or why we might be upset about something. But the next part of that is actually then being able to ask for what we want and communicating our needs. Do you have any tips about that?
Yeah, I think that it's especially for all the, like, the people pleasers out there, you know, all the good girls that are like, I just want you to like me, which I totally get. Being there, I totally understand it. So it's really important to recognize that when you are asking for what you want or what you need, it's not a demand. Like, it's not like the person has to do it and that they're going to say yes and then feel put out, which I think a lot of times when we're not used to communicating what we want, we say yes to other people's needs and desires a lot and then feel kind of like obligated to do it, and there's not really that generous energy behind it. So then we fear asking other people because we think that's how they're going to respond. So your responsibility is to state what you want and what you need, and then your responsibility is not to like worry about how the other person responds to that. So they have a choice. Their responsibility then is to be honest about whether or not that's something that they can meet you in, or a need that they're prepared to fulfill. So I think it's also can be helpful to word it in such a way as like, you know, this is something that I feel like I would really want, or I think is something that I need. How do you feel about that? Do you think this is something that you can like help me with, or that you're prepared to do? So you're not demanding it, you're giving that person also like an out if it's not in there, if it doesn't feel right and aligned for them to do that. And that, I feel, can take some of the pressure off.
And a perfect time to practice this, like you mentioned, with friends and family members, because practicing it with a partner can often be highly emotionally charged too. So the better or more comfortable you get with communicating, then the easier it is when those situations are quite emotional.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, in this special time that we have right now, and for us, each of us that are almost holding space for ourselves now, what's something we can do to really activate that feeling of love from within if we're not having cuddles and touches and catch-ups with friends and the things that might make us feel loved, nurtured and supported right now?
Yeah. Okay, I love that one. So here's some things I love to do. Dancing, having a beautiful bubble bath, giving yourself some self-massage, some self-touch, a pleasure practice, like eating something really nourishing. So doing things that make you feel really in your body and really loving towards your body. And if that, even like that, feels like a lot for you, a good way to get yourself into that energy is to just close your eyes and like imagine that you're standing in front of your higher self and you're seeing this person so like radiant and beautiful, and then feeling and like looking all happy, and then feeling them step into your body and you become merged with your higher self. And then you feel what it feels like to be in that fully like connected, powerful, satisfied, happy, clear, peaceful state. And that is something that you can do. It takes you like a minute and it instantly shifts your energy. I love to do that. I do that like every day.
That's so beautiful. And it puts you in a really beautiful vibration for connecting. That would actually be a good exercise to go through when you're in a message communication or having a video call with someone who you want to create a heart connection with, right?
Yeah, exactly. It puts you just into that really grounded, clear, peaceful, empowered space. Yeah, and it's, as you say, it's so good to do before anything that you're going to do where you're interacting with someone else.
You have a beautiful training for our audience that I know that they're going to absolutely love, called Cultivating Connection. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, I did a webinar. This is specifically for single women or women who are wanting to work on their own inner connection. And it's specifically for now. So if you're in quarantine, if you're in lockdown, if you are someone who's like, okay, I really recognize that right now I need to do some work on my inner connection. I want to feel more powerful. I want to feel more loving and loved. I want to feel more connected. Then this is a webinar that's for you. So I'm giving tools and practices that you can use right now when there's nobody else around, and the things that you can do at home to really amp up that feeling, those feelings of love from within yourself.
That sounds like an absolute must-have. So the link to download that beautiful training is below the video today. Thank you so much, Amrita. Do you have anything that you'd like to share with our audience before we wrap up the session today?
Yeah, I just want to like send you all so much love and just say that the fact that you're even here today, the fact that you've taken this time out of your day to watch this video shows like that in itself is a truly loving act. And every day that you do something loving towards yourself, you are building up that inner love that then is going to radiate out. So I think you're doing an amazing job, and keep going. And just lots of kisses to you all.
Thank you so much for joining the panel. And thanks everyone for tuning in today. We'll see you again tomorrow for another Love Transformation class. Take care and bye for now.